Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Today I've got a SIG Sauer P229 Legion RXP. Please don't forget to check out our website. Go to our affiliates page. You'll find discount codes for things like Mantis Axe and Core belts. You'll find a link that you can sign up for Big Daddy Unlimited. They actually have things in stock and usually at a lower price than other places. Link to that cool little bore light that we use for lighting up the barrels. Use those links. It will often save you money, never will cost you any additional money, and helps the channel. Thank you. So this is the 229 is the compact 9mm version of SIG Sauer's metal frame gun series. These have been around for quite a long time, and the Legion is kind of their top of the line marketing package. So SIG has kind of mastered the art of making different variations of their pistols, and the Legion series is kind of the top of the line, the elite version of that. And by the way, this thing you see here is a challenge coin that you get with the Legion series. But what they have done is they've stopped putting them in the box. I think it's because they disappeared and didn't make it to the end user. So when you register this on their site, on their Legion site, you get this challenge coin, and you get a 511 tactical range bag that's actually quite nice. Turn it around. You can see it's got the Legion symbol on it, and if I open it, it's got SIG Sauer on it, if I turn it the right way. And it's got a place for your mags, and it's all padded and a little pouch. So this is something you'll get simply by registering online, and they'll get it to you pretty quickly. So there's a number of other things you tend to get with Legions. You tend to get special finishes. This is cerakote. All of the Legions are now cerakote instead of PVD, and this is called Legion Gray. You generally get different grips, and you'll even get functional enhancements. So what you're looking at right here is the gun exactly the way it came out of the box. No changes. This is the way it's delivered by SIG. It has these G10 grips. They have kind of a diamond pattern in the grip. It's a wraparound grip, and the diamond pattern continues around the back. And they come up all the way up here, and they have some serrations for your thumb, and of course the Legion logo, the medallion. You can, of course, change these grips, because under the hood this thing is just a P229, but I don't see why you would want to, with one possible exception, because they're very nice grips, they're comfortable. The one thing I have noticed is the slide stop slide release sits inside this well, and you're definitely not going to accidentally hold it up while you're shooting the gun. It's very difficult to actually get to it. So releasing it's not too bad because you're pushing down into the well, but trying to lock it back, it's a bit of work. But you know what, as far as functionality, that's an exception case. That's not part of the main line when you're shooting it. So that alone wouldn't be a reason for me to change these grips, because otherwise the grips are actually quite comfortable. They're solid, they kind of fit in the hand really well. The texture is textured enough that it stays put in your hand, but not so textured that it wants to tear you up. And this is a DASA gun, and this, from the factory, is the Grey Guns PSAT trigger, which is the P-Series adjustable trigger. And overall, it's a very nice setup. This also, from the factory, has the SRT kit, which is the short reset trigger. And of course, looming at the top is the Romeo 1 Pro optic, which... Now, of course, you know cameras hate red dots, so that looks like just an awful, horrible dot, but it's not. It's a very nice, crisp, really nice dot, easy to use, and it co-witnesses with the sights. And, of course, the camera's blowing it out because that's what cameras do with red dots. Now, the sights that I'm looking at here are their X-Ray 3 sights, which are a night sight with rings around them to make them visible during the day. So you're really not going to easily use the sights with the dot on, but of course if the dot's on and working, you really don't need the sights. But if the red dot were to fail for some reason, battery goes dead or whatever, the sights you can co-witness right through it, so it's really easy to do. And I think I may have mentioned this earlier, but just in case I didn't, the 229 is a 9mm, just like the 226. And in 9mm, with the size and weight of this gun, it's actually very comfortable to shoot. So let's talk about the size and weight. And the 229 itself, of course, is available in 3 calibers. They actually offer this in 40 and 357 SIG, not the Legion that's sitting here in my hand. This is only available in 9mm. But the base 229 that this is based on is available in those other 2 calibers. This one is 7.1 inches long. It's 6.4 inches tall, and that includes the red dot, which adds about an inch to the overall height. And it's 1.5 inches thick. These were never meant to be or ever seen to be thin guns. And it weighs 32 ounces. But the metal frame guns tend to be a little bit heavier, a little bit thicker. And that's part of the allure of them. It makes them very comfortable to shoot. It comes with 3 of these 15-round magazines. It's flush fit, kind of a little bit of a pinky extender. But this is a 3-finger grip gun unless you have very large hands. Now, if you have very large hands, you may end up finding your pinky sitting on this, and that may be uncomfortable. But for most people, it's going to just sit in that well. And a few of the other features, this is based on the P229 Elite platform, which gives you a deeper undercut on the beaver tail and a longer beaver tail. So even very, very large hands are unlikely to get hammer bit. I mean, the beaver tail's way back here, and the hammer fits up into it. And it also has the X5 undercut on the trigger, and that allows you to get right up in there. You notice there's a little texturing here and a little texturing on the front. I know some people like to put their fingers on the front of the trigger guard. Not precisely sure how you would use that texturing, but it is there. And it has front and rear slide serrations and a 3-slot rail. And kind of when I'm looking at it, when I've got my grip on it, this finger might come out this way, but basically I wouldn't have any finger near that if I've got a good solid grip on it. I'm sure somebody who has a particular grip that would use that. None of the ways I would grip it would that come into play. This is a pleasurable to shoot gun. The trigger on this is really nice. So let's start. And one note on the trigger, it's a rebounding. So it can't hit the firing pin once it has rebounded. And even if you don't cycle it, so let's say it doesn't fire, notice it comes back and it still rebounds. So this is one of the drop safety mechanisms. Now it can hit the firing pin because I have the trigger held back. Let go of the trigger, can't hit the firing pin anymore. So some of the controls that are on this are also part of the safeties. Of course, you have the takedown lever, the decocker. So if I have the gun cocked, I can safely decock it with the decocker. And you have the slide stop slide release that I showed earlier. And there are no ambi features on this. Because it's a DASA, it doesn't need nor have a thumb safety. It does not have the inertial pull prevention toggle that most other guns do, but SIGs really never have had those. But it does have other integral safeties. It has a drop safety plunger, like I showed, of course the decocker, and the rebounding hammer. So it is designed to be a drop safe gun, and I really haven't heard of instances of these things firing unintentionally. So you heard some of that with the P229, but I've never really heard that with their metal frame guns. So overall, it is designed to be and appears to be a drop safe weapon. The 229 series has a stainless slide and an alloy frame. And of course with cerakote, it's easy to get consistent color matching, so you don't have the slide a slightly different shade than the frame. And by the way, this is up here up front you're seeing is not a scratch or a gouge, that's just oil sitting there. I'm going to try to wipe it off, but can't get my finger up in there. But that's oil sitting on it, not that the camera's picking up. Overall, it does tend to be a fairly durable finish. Cerakote is a pretty solid finish. And it looks nice. It's just everything blends nice and looks nice. And there's a number of different variations of color schemes on the 229 in general, but this is the one option that you get with the Legion. This is the way it comes. A couple other things I want to mention before I get into taking it apart or demoing the trigger. This is an aluminum body, so it's very durable. It's a very wide glass. It has 12 brightness settings and it has shake awake. And you can replace the battery from the top, so you do not have to remove the sight to replace the battery. Now, interestingly enough, the red dot was not zeroed perfectly from the factory. A lot of times when you have a factory installed red dot, they come perfectly zeroed. I had to do a few clicks here and there to kind of zero it in, but it was pretty close, and it was mounted just like you see it. So when I picked it up out of the box, it was there. The battery wasn't in it, but it did include the battery. And it includes a little tool that I'll show you when I show the case that allows you to store a battery and also to adjust it. So I'm going to put the gun down and show you a couple of the other things that come with it. So it comes with a cover for the red dot to protect the red dot when you're not actually using it, and it just kind of clips on the top of it. Here's that little tool I was mentioning. This can be used to remove the battery. And this little protrusion here, if you tilt it out, see if I can do it with one hand. No, it takes two hands. So if you push this out a little bit, that little adjuster can adjust the elevation and windage. And then if I bring it around a little further, you'll see there's a battery in there. So I can store a battery with the tool. And of course it's got the SIG logo on it, and this comes with it. And it comes in a nice hard shell plastic case with SIG on it, like most of the SIGs do. And of course it's got a well padded interior. And it comes with the instruction manual for the red dot as well as the instruction manual for the gun. And from a holster options perspective, and it comes with 3 magazines, by the way. So 3 of these, I think I may have mentioned that early on, but it comes with 3 of these 15-round magazines. And it'll use any 229 magazine or 226 magazine. Holster options, because it's got a red dot on it, most of the 229 holsters would not fit. This black point that you can buy from SIG with the Legion logo on it is designed for the Legion. And we haven't used this holster yet, so I don't know how good or bad it is, but I know that the black point holsters are known to be pretty good. This is available from SIG for about 90 bucks. When you go to register it, you can order the holster. Now, if you don't have the red dot on it, it is still just a 229, and most 229 holsters would work with it, unless they come too far back and start to interfere with the grip. But the nice thing about it is there are holsters that I believe is a good holster were available right from the factory, and that came in the box with the other stuff fairly quickly. So it was less than a week from the point that the gun was registered and ordered, and it came in. So, and again, registration is not required. There's no reason you have to register this, but if you want the coin and the case, that padded case, for free, you register it, those come with it, and then of course it'll present you with a list of other compatible things, which will include that holster. Now, from an MSRP perspective, SIG doesn't announce MSRPs. What I'm seeing when I look around is between $1,500 and $1,600 is what these seem to be listing for when they're in stock. And I've seen quite a few listings for them significantly below $1,500, followed by the word out of stock. And of course, it's easy to list ridiculously low prices on things you don't have to sell. But that's kind of what it is. So if you're looking for one of these, expect to pay somewhere between $1,500 and $1,600 for it, possibly less without the red dot. The non-red dot version of this, which there is a non-red dot version of it. So let's talk about the trigger, because of course that's one of the things about the metal frame guns from SIG that is known to be good. So we'll start with double action mode. There's a little bit of take up. And it's a moderately heavy. It's not a really heavy. Longer, of course, because it's double action. Smooth pull. There is no stacking. There is no grit. There are no negative things whatsoever. It's just a nice, smooth trigger pull. Now, of course, if I cock the hammer, I'm going to get rid of this magazine. It'll make it easier. There's a little more take up, but it's super light and super smooth, and it brings you back here. And then just a little bit of a wall to pull through. It's not creepy. It's just there is a bit. It's not a short, crisp wall. And then a break, and it's right here at the back. And because this has the SRT, that is the reset. You're right back on the wall, and then break. And I'm going to do that again because I actually was expecting it to come out further. So I kind of let off too quickly. But again, there's the reset, and you're right on the wall, and then the break. The trigger on these is just awesome. Now, of course, you can take a regular 229 and do this series of upgrades to it, but being able to get it right from the factory, ready to go, factory tuned, is definitely an advantage that you get with the Legion series of these. So taking these down is easy. You lock them back, which on this one, the locking back is the hardest part, getting your thumb up in there. Pull down the lever, release the slide stop, and they just come right apart. So we'll start with the frame, because that's what happens to be in view at the moment. You've got really robust rails at the rear, and nice long solid rails at the front. It's all the way. The rail is the whole way up, and a really robust locking block with kind of a partial feed ramp. And of course the fire control group here at the back. And with DISAs, the fire control group tends to have a little bit more going on. That's normal for a DASA. But everything is just well constructed, well machined, and smooth, which is what you would expect from a SIG. Now we have the slide assembly. It has a steel guide rod, factory option, or not option, but factory, right from the factory. And then you have your 3.9-inch cold hammer forged barrel. It's kind of got a machine polished feed ramp. Nice wide throat going into the chamber. And it's a really thick, heavy, robust barrel. Nice machined, nice. Looks like I actually had forgot to clean this, so unfortunately it's a little bit dirty. I apologize for that. I'm normally pretty good about cleaning these and I thought I had. So what you're seeing in there is dirt from me forgetting to clean it, not from SIG failing to machine it correctly. It is actually quite well done machining. My bad. Every once in a while something will slip through quality control. Okay, so here's the barrel properly cleaned up so that it doesn't look like a trash can. They do have quite nice rifling and well machined, nice sharp edges. So, as you would expect from SIG, a well done barrel. And on the slide, like the frame, the slide is well machined as well. Smooth. There's your drop safety plunger, so it is a drop safe gun. Just typical SIG, well done everything. So I'm going to put the slide down. I'm going to clean up my fingers because it looks awful. Actually, I'll put it back together first because I'm just going to get dirty doing that. And it is easy to put back together. Slides right in. Just make sure you center the recoil spring. I'm going to set this down. I'm going to clean off my hands, and then I'll come right back. So now that I've got my hands cleaned off, I'm going to try to avoid touching the red dot. Putting it back together is easy. You just bring it back, lock it back, release the lever, and you're back in business. Now, the Legion comes in two versions. Not optics ready with no optic, and optics ready with this optic pre-installed. Those are the two choices. I'm not sure about the others in the 229 series that aren't the Legions, but I don't believe there's an option to get the optics ready version of the Legion without the Romeo 1 Pro pre-installed. And the cover, if I put the cover on, can be a little bit tricky to kind of center the cover. It's got a little bit twitchy, but once you do it, there's your optic with the cover on it that protects the glass, front and rear. And of course you have the logo at the front and at the back. SIG does like their logo, and they tend to put it in a number of different places. Overall, if you're thinking about getting a Legion of any version, the Legions are nice. They're a very nice gun. They're not inexpensive. It's not a budget gun by any stretch, any of the Legion versions. But the add-ons that they do and the additional features you get usually are worth it. And there's just something nice about shooting one of these classic metal frame SIGs. When you add in the SRT trigger and all the other things, it's just a really nice gun at the range. But they make excellent home defense, and certainly range and collector use make them perfect. Having this at the range, it was an absolute pleasure to shoot, and we will also do a comparison in the future. We've got a 229 Elite that's not the Legion, and kind of do a little bit of a comparison. But again, this is basically under the hood a P229. One thing I overlooked before I wrap up, all the controls have a similar texturing to the grip. So you're going to be able to make sure that you can easily, once you get your finger on one of these controls, you're going to be able to use them. It's not going to slide off. Beyond that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, click that bell to be notified if you do. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now Getter. So we're still kind of almost everywhere. Thank you.